I do is I repaint a painting that a student sent to me on Monday in my long distance learning. And they sent a photo and their painting. I repainted it and toggled back and forth. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to repaint and talk about why I make the changes that I make. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so this is the painting here, and this is the the photo. So what you can see in this photo is most of it is in shadow, where, if I look at the relationship of the sky is really very light compared to all this parts in shadow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to I usually simplify. Okay, so I'm going to put this in shadow, and then I look at all the foliage around it is much darker than the building. So I've got it's also, I'm going to start it with a little bit of a redder, like maybe a magenta. Okay, so that's the building in shadow there. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the roof. The roof is a shadow also in light. So it's very similar in color to the building. So I'm just going to slightly shift it a little bit. Okay, so we've got this in shadow, and there's a little bit of dappled light on it. Okay, so that's the shadow part. Now the dappled light part, I think, is a little bit, it's warm. So let me make this a little bit smaller. And this is Art Rage that I'm using. It's a program that we use. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little bit of light on the roof here, and maybe here, and maybe here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the bushes, and I'm going to pick maybe a magenta. I'm going to make this a little bit darker, and I'll show you what I do with that eventually. I don't keep it magenta, but see, it's now darker than the building color. Okay, so that's the bushes there. There's some bushes here, bushes over here, some bushes over here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the some of the bushes in shadow aren't as dark. Like here, they're a little bit lighter and a little bit greener. And I'm gonna come back with some lavender on top of that, the same value. So what I'm painting is I'm painting why I'm putting lavender in these, because I'm not starting these greens out with their local color. Later on, I'll put the local color in, but I start out with other colors that I know that I can add later on. I can add the local color to that. Okay, so now I'm looking at the dirt around it has a little more red to it. So I'm gonna put some dirt over here and some dirt over here. And then there's these shrubs here that are cooler. So I'm going to use a cooler, but they're all in shadow. And then there's like a shadow and a light plane here. Okay, then I'm going to go to this dirt over here. This is a shadow here. There's a shadow here. Okay, and there's a shadow right there. And then I think it's a little bit yellower than the roof, so I'm going to maybe go to a little more orange. Okay, so there's a light here, and there's a light here, and there's a light over here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the some of the bushes here in light. There's a little bit of a light here. Make it a little bit darker, a little bit darker. Okay, so there's a light here, and maybe here, and there's a light here. Okay, so then in the back, there's like this fence back here that I'm gonna just put in as a dark. And then there's these, all these trees in the back. They're gonna be big masses. I'm not getting into individual trees yet. And then they go all the way over here. Okay, and then over here, these trees have a little bit of, they're in light and shadow, but they're a little bit darker than the dirt part. So I'm just gonna start with this here. And then I'm going to come in with some shadow on those too. They probably have some shadow over here. Now all of these colors can be changed, but what I'm trying to do is just get all my lights and darks organized. And then there's a tree over here too that I might put in. I'll make it a little bit higher than the house. Okay, and then the sky, I think I'm going to go to a pink in the sky, which eventually I'll come in with some blue. Okay. So that's the start. Now, oh, and then I need to come in with the light part of the house over here. This is in light here. Now, I think it might be a little bit warmer. A little bit yellower than the sky. And then I'm gonna come in with maybe some trim here, the white trim. So this is here, and then we've got this here. We've got this trim here and here. And then there's probably some white that we're hitting right here. Okay, so that's your start. Now, what I'm gonna do, oh, and then maybe I'm gonna put a tree in the front here, which is gonna be a little bit darker than the trees in the back. Okay, and then later on, well, I guess I could do that now. Then there's like the trunks. Okay, so now I'm gonna keep working on this. I'm gonna start with the background trees. I'm gonna make them closer to what I see. Okay, they're a little bit, I'm gonna add the local color. I think they're a little bit greener. Maybe a little bit warmer. Green. Because it was conflicting with the roof, so. Okay, so it's a little bit greener, and then I think there's actually some light on those back there too. So I don't want to get them, they've got some warmth in them. A little bit darker. So there's some light and shadow here, back there, and probably here too. Okay, so now I'm going to go to these foreground trees, or the trees in the back, but they're closer. And I'm going to make them a little bit, maybe a little bit cooler. Okay, so I'm gonna maybe add some blue to the sky over here. And then maybe it gets a little bit lighter. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's see, the roof. I'm going to maybe make the roof closer to the color. I'm going to cool it down just a bit. And I can then mix those two together. And then there's some darks. Like there's some darks right here. Might be a little bit darker. Right there. And there's some darks up here. Okay. And then the there's a white here. And then there's probably going to be a little bit of that in light in the front there. Probably some lights hitting it right here. Okay, so now I'm going to make some changes. As soon as I find this. Okay, so I'm going to make some changes. Right here it gets a little bit, let's see, so this gets a little bit darker right here. Okay, then there's the door here, or there's a dark here. And then there's a window here. I'm going to make dark. And then there's that overhang probably is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit darker here. It's a little bit too dark. There's going to probably be a little bit darker here. And I think that's a little bit too warm, so I'm going to add some cool to it. A little bit too dark. Okay, and then there's some white areas that I'm going to add. Like there's a white around the window here, and there's a white here. There's a white over here. There's a white here. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the bushes. I'm going to go to the local color. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to add some green to these bushes here. Maybe a little bit darker. And then there's some darks here. And then back here, I'm going to maybe make it a little bit cooler, these back here. A little bit cooler. And maybe I'll put a little bit of on that fence back there, maybe I'll just put a little bit of light hitting the top of the fence here. And then maybe this is, it's kind of a high fence. I'm gonna make it a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit, it's too dark. I'm gonna fill in this back here, maybe make it a little bit shorter. Okay, so this is the fence here. And then here's the top of it too. Okay, so now I'm going to get into making these tops a little bit greener. It's too light. I took it out of the shadow. So, okay, so there's some of these in here. So you can see I'm doing like tops and sides, and I'm thinking of them like, you know, boxes and how they relate. And then I'm going to make, you know, put the trunk on this tree over here. And then it's got a little bit of light on it. Right here, just hitting with a little bit of light here. Let's see, that's a little bit too light. So let me put that there. Okay, so now I'm going to, actually, I think some of this is a little bit too green. I'm going to come in with a little bit of warmth in this here. And then I'm going to mix those two together. And then I'm going to come in with some green on top of that. Some cooler green. Now, there's less light here, so it gets a little bit darker at the base here. So I'm going to make these a little bit darker in a few places where the bases are. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the, let's see. I think this is a little bit cooler, this dirt part. So I'm gonna make it a little bit cooler. So I have a warm, cool kind of relationship where the lights are warm and the shadows are cooler. So I can mix those two together. And I'm also going to make this maybe a little bit cooler too. And then I'm going to go to, let's see, maybe this is a little bit less warm. I made it a little bit. Okay. So let me get to the, these have a little bit more green in them. A color node, one color node to another, then the second stage, I start putting in, you know, the local color. And like for instance, here you have some darks right here. And then you're going to have some darks also on the dirt too. This is going to be a little bit darker here. And then I need to cool that. I need to cool that also. And then I can come in and mix those two together. And then, you know, this is popping out, so I can come in and maybe start. I have this tool where I can mix these together. This might be a little bit too light there. And I'm thinking maybe I can make the this fence a little bit cooler here. Okay, so I'm just going to put a few more changes in this, and then we're going to call it done as far as I want to take it right now. So we've got this here, dark there, and then so that would then have a dark here too. And it's probably a transition color too. So you have to get the right value. So that's like a transition color. And then I'm going to make a transition color in the dirt in the foreground too. Like it might be a little bit darker and warmer as they come together. You know, that's, as I keep working, these are the kinds of changes I'm going to be making. And then I will have to use my other tool here. And soften the edges there. Okay, so I'm gonna put that there. Okay, and then the final touch, I'm going to really put a light like right here. Maybe a light there, and maybe a light right here. And then I think also I'm going to maybe put some lights on this tree. Well, make it, you know, make some changes in this tree. I think also, let me get the tree trunk here stated better. And I think the tree on the right is a little bit warmer. Okay, so I think that's going to be it for now. So let me stop the share. I'm going to go to, I'm going to stop my share, go back